Hi, I'm Steven Soderbergh. I'm here to talk about Paranoïa, and we're going to have a little chat about some of my influences. Well, the movie that made me start thinking about making movies was Jaws. I was 12 years old. For the first time, I wondered what the words "directed by" meant, who this person was that did this to me. There was a book that came out about the making of the film, and that was my first introduction to the idea that directing could be a job, that it was a job that you could have. Then I would say A Hard Day's Night. The energy of the filmmaking really had a huge impact on me. As soon as it was over, you wanted to just watch it again. That had a big influence. And then All the President's Men. I lived in a town in Louisiana in which it took a long time for movies to get there. So I was waiting and waiting. I'd read the book that it was based on, and finally the movie came to town. It was as good as I hoped it was going to be. A model in how to base a film on a true story. It was, in my mind, a perfect film. Probably Twin Peaks, Sopranos, The Prisoner would be 3 TV series that had a huge influence on me, that all sort of changed the landscape in their time. Twin Peaks in the United States, obviously. There'd never been anything on network television like this. It was just too weird to survive. It was the most cinematic TV show that had ever been made. And without it, I don't think you can have The Sopranos. I think The Sopranos started this process of television really challenging movies for the portrayal of interesting, complex characters. So yeah, those are 3 shows that I would watch again right now. There's a book that was written in the 50s by a poet named Randall Jarrell called Pictures from an Institution. It's a comic novel about a small college. It's the only novel this person ever wrote. It's a masterpiece. It's one of the funniest things I've ever read. The Catcher in the Rye, people have sort of distanced themselves from it because of its association with the person who shot John Lennon. It's taken on a sort of context that I don't think it deserves. No one had ever written like that before. That voice in American literature just had not existed, and that's what's so appealing. And then a third one, there's a book that I just read by a young female author called The Mars Room. This author, Rachel Kushner, she's very, very good. If she continues, gonna be one of those people that's on the list of like really great American writers. I think she's that good. I got nothing. Never read them. I don't think I ever bought a comic book. I was already reading like film books. They turned out to be a good thing, yeah. Very limited experience with video games, which is strange because for 2 years I worked as a coin attendant at an arcade. So I was surrounded by video games. So there was only one game that I decided to try and become decent at, which was Ms. Pac-Man. Ms. Pac-Man was the only game I spent hours on. The Beatles, obviously. Apparently the first words out of my mouth as a child were yeah, yeah, yeah. I had an instant connection there. And then, for similar reasons, Miles Davis. In addition to the music being great music, what was fascinating to me was watching the evolution of these artists. When you look at the Beatles in 1962 and you look at the Beatles in 1969, it's kind of incredible. And the same with Miles Davis. He's gone into a completely different territory. Then I'll pick a classical composer, Beethoven. It is very cinematic. So yeah, Miles, Beatles, Beethoven. Well, now you've gotten a list of my influences. Some of them were shorter than others. Even though they're personal to me, I would hope that if you haven't been exposed to some of these things and people already, that you'll check them out because I think they're worthwhile.